Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill Bledsoe with another exercise in Sacred Heart Yoga. Ah, beautiful day out there today in Chesney, South Carolina. It's a nice farmer's rain, a light little rain. It's going to be 100% chance of rain today and get up to low 60s. Nice weather. Another gift from God. If you're new to the Sacred Heart Yoga sessions, a couple of really important things. One is I will lead you and tell you how to begin the prayers, but you must fill in the blanks every time with what's heartfelt to you personally. Every single person has a different walk with God and is on a different path and a different direction, different level. And so I can't tell you how to pray. I can't tell you what words to put in there because I'm not living your life. I'm not walking your walk with God. So it's very important that you fill in the prayers with good, heartfelt prayers that are personal to you. The other thing that I recommend with Sacred Heart Yoga is prayer like this is not for everybody at all times. It's when you're ready to serve God and you have this calling and you know it. Then Sacred Heart Yoga fills a wonderful blank space and forms a tremendous communication between you and how you're going to serve God. But I wasn't ready for Sacred Heart Yoga till I was over 60. Um, there were just too many. I had 5 kids, too many distractions, too many things going on, running my own practice. I was not really called to do it in my mind. But when I was called and introduced to Sacred Heart Yoga, it filled a big gap for me. And so I suggest if you are new to Sacred Heart Yoga, go through one whole session and see if it feels right. If it doesn't, try it again maybe sometime later in your life when you feel called to. I'll always be here. These are personal prayers for when in Aramaic Jesus used the term, there were no terms for good and evil. The term was ripe or unripe. So the fruit on the tree is either ripe, ready, wanting, and driven, or it's not quite ready yet, but it will be in time. And so we don't worry about it whether it fits or doesn't. It doesn't matter to me, it doesn't matter to anybody else. It's whether it fits for you or not at this time in your life. And so go through one full session, and if it fits, you'll know it. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. You won't hurt anybody's feelings. So we will begin the Sacred Heart Yoga by thanking the generations that have brought this to us. I thank first God for this wonderful gift of prayer, of praying aloud individually, of toning afterwards, and of body movements to heal our bodies at the same time we're healing our minds and our hearts. And I thank the generations that have brought this to us, from the house of Abraham to the house of David, to Jesus, to his mother Mary, father Joseph, Mary Magdalene, and to Virginia Ellen, who wrote the book, Sacred Heart Yoga, so that anybody can practice this method, this ancient method of prayer, anytime they want. Now, if you'll repeat after me, we're going to say the Sacred Heart Yoga prayer. Beloved, I devote this practice this day to the evolution of my soul, to the fulfillment of my destiny, in service to the One. And I allow myself to be purified as I rejoice in the kingdom of heaven and the love of God. And I give thanks for these blessings, these moments I share with my body and spirit in oneness. And so it is. Amen. Now we're going to clear our energy fields, means gets rid of distractions, thoughts that come up about what, we got to do today, or what's, distracting us, something that's swaying us down. We want to let it just go, like float away on the wind, like a ribbon blowing away on the wind, and clear our minds. And we do this in Sacred Heart Yoga by taking our right hand up to the 12 o'clock position like a clock. Go over to the right side to the 3 o'clock position, over to the right knee, left knee, 9 o'clock position, and back up to the 12 o'clock position, making a big circle around. And as we do it, repeat these words after me. I clear my energy field of anyone or anything standing within. I bless them and I send them to the light. Om. Now we'll be toning along here. You use the word Om, like OHM. And we'll practice it 3 times right here in case you're new. Each of us will have a different frequency that vibrates well in our own heads and feels right. And it doesn't matter if it's different from mine, and it doesn't matter if it, is whatever it is. You want your own personal frequency. So we'll say Om 3 times and let you practice different pitches. See if you can figure out what works for you. Om. Now we take our hands over our hearts, and since Sacred Heart Yoga, its true purpose in my mind is to allow each of us to individually be in service to God and have a connection to God that's real and carries with us all day long. So to begin the prayers, we put our hands over our solar plexus and on our hearts, our right hand over our hearts and solar plexus. And here we ask God, how may I serve you? And what almost always comes to me is just 1 or 2 words. It's not a lot. It's just 1 or 2 words. And then that develops during the whole prayer session into where I understand what was meant. So we'll say the prayer It begins with, well, that is God, how may I serve you? Om. Now we're going to get up and stand, and we're going to say aloud what came to us as to how we can serve. And we do this simply by putting our hands palms outward, and we say it as my intention to serve is. And then we fill in with whatever came to us. So the beginning of the prayer is my intention to serve is. Om. Now, in Aramaic, which is Jesus's language, they would seal a contract, a deal with somebody, simply with the word Amen said 3 times. So here we're going to seal our intention as truth with God simply by singing Amen 3 times, any way you want, anyhow, whatever comes to you normally. So we'll do it. Amen. 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 Now we'll sit down on the mats and then lay down on the mat on our backs. And in yoga, they consider the right side of the body the masculine side and the left side of the body the feminine side. So we'll in Sacred Heart Yoga, since I was raised Catholic, I am stuck with, there is one God, but it's many parts. And so I picture the masculine side of God as the gifts of the Holy Spirit that are of knowledge, of doing, of wisdom. And the feminine side I picture as the gifts of the Holy Spirit that are love and nurturing and creating new life, new cells in our bodies. So we're going to do the right side of our bodies first, the masculine side. And so we pull our right knee up to our chest. And here the prayer begins with, Father, I love you. And then, Father, I thank you. Om. Now we hold our right foot in our left hand and pull it over to our left thigh. Let our right knee fall down to the mat. And our right arm goes above our heads. And here the beginning of the prayer is, Father, I love you. And then, Father, I thank you. Om. Now we switch hands. We take our right foot in our right hand and pull our foot down to our pelvis and our knee up towards the mat. And our left arm this time goes above our heads. And here the prayer begins with, Father, I love you. And then, Father, I thank you. Om. Now we take that right foot up towards the heavens, still holding it with our right hand. Pull our knee down towards the mat, our left arm still above our heads. And the prayer begins with, Father, I love you, and Father, I thank you. Om. Now that right leg goes up towards the heavens and falls out to the right side, extending out to the right. Our arms fall out from our chest, out to the sides, palms up. And here the prayer begins with, Father, I love you. And then, Father, I thank you. Om. Now we turn our heads to the right, and that right leg goes across our body over to the left side, keeping our shoulders down flat on the mat and our arms extended out, palms up. And here the prayer begins with, Father, I love you. And then, Father, I thank you. Om. Now we go back to resting position with our legs are outstretched, our hands are at our sides, our arms are at our sides. And this time we're going to do the left side of our bodies. The feminine side, and yoga is what it's considered. So we pull our left knee up to our chest. And here the prayer begins with, Mother, I love you. And then, Mother, I thank you. Om. Now we take that left foot in our right hand and pull it over to our right thigh and let that left knee fall down to the mat. This time it's our left arm that goes above our heads and down, lays down on the mat. And the prayer begins with, Mother, I love you, and Mother, I thank you. Om. Now we swap hands. We take that left foot in our left hand and pull it down towards our pelvis, letting our knee go down to the mat. And this time our right arm goes above our heads, straight above our heads, and stretch out down to the mat. And here the prayer begins with, Mother, I love you, and Mother, I thank you. Om. Now we pull that left foot up towards the heavens. And our right arm stays above our heads. And here the prayer begins with, Mother, I love you, and Mother, I thank you. Om. Now we let that left foot reach up towards the heavens and fall out to the left side. And we take our arms outstretched from our shoulders, palms up, down on the mat. And the prayer begins with, Mother, I love you, and Mother, I thank you. Om. Now we go back to resting position, our arms at our sides, our legs outstretched. And this time we combine the masculine and feminine sides of our bodies into one. And I feel it's uniting all the different pieces of God and realizing God is a oneness. God is one. So we pull our knees, both of them up to our chest, and hold them there. And here the prayer begins with, God, I love you. Om. Now we take the soles of take our right hand and our right foot in our right hand and the left foot in our left hand and pull the soles of our feet together, letting our knees fall out to the sides. And here the beginning of the prayer is, God, I love you, and then God, I thank you. Om. Now we pull our feet apart and keep them down towards our pelvis. And here the prayer begins with, God, I love you, and God, I thank you. Om. Now we take our feet and we let them extend up towards the heavens, still holding the right foot with the right hand, left foot with the left hand. Pull our knees down to the mat. And here the prayer begins with, God, I love you, and God, I thank you. Om. Now we let our feet fall down near our pelvis, down to the mat. Our arms get extended out to the sides this time. Our palms are down. We turn our heads to the left and our knees go over to the right, keeping our shoulders down flat on the mat. And here the prayer begins with, God, I love you, and God, I thank you. Om. Now we turn our heads to the right and we turn our knees over to the left side, keeping our arms outstretched, palms down. And here the prayer is, God, I love you, and God, I thank you. Om. Now we go back to resting position, our legs outstretched, our hands at our sides. And I lost my belt clip there. I got to get it back on. Excuse me just a second. Hope that didn't mess the sound up. And this time we go into the surrender pose. And what surrendering is it is turning over to God anything that might be distracting us, any worries, any fears in day-to-day world, anything that in my mind, fear keeps me from being able to connect to God. So anything that in any way prevents my love by creating fear. And we can surrender it to God and it'll just float away like a ribbon on the wind. And so to the surrender pose is we put our hands under our sit bones and lean up on our elbows, supporting us, and touch the tops of our heads back down to the mat. And the prayer begins with, God, I surrender unto you. Om. Now we go back to resting position, our legs outstretched, our arms at our sides. And we take our left hand and we point it up towards the heavens, our left arm, left hand, and it falls over to the right side this time. We take our right hand halfway between our left elbow and left shoulder, and we pull it over, stretching it. And here the prayer begins with, God, I choose. Om. Now we switch arms. This time our right arm goes up towards the heavens and falls over to the left side. We take our left hand halfway between our right shoulder and right elbow and pull it over farther. And here the prayer begins with, God, I can. Om. Now we go back to resting position, and we're going to start the tabernacle series. And that's what we do is we form a tabernacle by pulling our feet up to the pelvis on the mat and let our knees fall out, and it forms a tabernacle below our bodies. And then we form a second tabernacle of our hearts. We do it by putting our hands in prayer position over our hearts and extending them up 2/3, 3/4 of the way to heavens, forming another tabernacle, in this time of our hearts. And in this tabernacle of our hearts, God has for us this beautiful chalice. This chalice filled with all the gifts of the Holy Spirit, or all the gifts from God that you could ever need to be in service to God. And so we can drink from this chalice anything we want. And so the prayer begins with, God, I drink from your chalice. Now we keep our hands in prayer position and we put them over our heads, forming a tabernacle of our bodies. And here the prayer begins with, God, I thank you for this body, this humanness. Now we go into the Anoint series, where we'll go through this series 3 times. We take our thumbs and we put them to our foreheads, and here we'll anoint any gift from God, anything we have gotten from God, and we anoint it. And then we move our thumbs down to our lips, and here we bless this gift from God, and we dedicate it in service to God. And then we take our hands down over our hearts in prayer position, and here we thank God truly for this gift He's given us. And then we point our fingers down towards our abdomens, towards our pelvis, and extend our arms out to the 3 o'clock position, and swing them back up to the 12 o'clock position, and then back to our foreheads. And here we fill our bodies with this gift from God. And then we tone at the end. And so we'll go through the first of 3. We take our thumbs to our foreheads, And the prayer begins with, God, I anoint. Om. Now we take our thumbs down. Excuse me, I just put my thumbs in the mic and knocked it down. We take our thumbs down to our lips. And here the prayer begins with, I bless this gift from God. I bless, and you fill it in. And then I dedicate this in service to God. Om. Now we take our hands in prayer position over our hearts, and the prayer begins with, God, I truly thank you for. Om. Now we take our fingers, point them down to our pelvis, and here the prayer begins with, God, I fill my body with. Om. Now we take our thumbs back to our foreheads and we anoint for the second time any gift that we want or that we have received from God. And so the prayer begins with, God, I anoint. Om. Now we take our thumbs down to our lips. And here the prayer is, God, I bless this gift of, and God, I dedicate this gift of in service to you. Om. Now we take our hands down in prayer position over our hearts, and the prayer begins with, God, I thank you for. Om. Now we take our fingers and we point them down,
And the prayer begins with, God, I fill my body with this gift of. Om. Now we do the third and final anointing of anything that God has given us, any gifts. And the prayer begins with, God, I anoint. Om. Now we take our thumbs down to our lips. And here the prayer begins with, God, I bless this gift of, and God, I thank you for this gift of, and God, I dedicate this gift in service to the one. Om. Now we take our hands in prayer position over our hearts. And the prayer begins with, God, I truly thank you for this gift of. Om. Now we point our fingers down, go to the 3 o'clock position, then 12 o'clock position. And here the prayer begins with, God, I fill my body with this gift of. Om. Now we go back to resting position, our arms at our sides, our feet outstretched. And we take our right ankle across our left ankle, and we take our right wrist across our left wrist. And here the prayer begins with, God, I thank you for your safety and your protection. And Om. Now we go back to resting position, our arms at our sides, our legs outstretched. And this time we're going to roll over on our sides. And we'll use our hands and our arms to sit up into sitting position again. And so this time our right leg goes out in front of us.
And our left foot goes over our right knee. And we turn to the left with our heads and our bodies and support ourselves with our left arm behind our back. And we hold our left knee with our right arm. And here the prayer begins with desire I am, desire I am, desire I am, I desire. Om. Now we switch legs. The left leg goes straight out in front of us. Our right foot comes over our left knee, and we twist to the right this time. Our right hand behind our backs to support our backs, and our left arm holding our right knee. And here the start of the prayer is will I am, will I am, will I am, I will. Om. Now we get up on our knees and put our hands in prayer position over our hearts. And here the prayer begins with God, I thank you for. Om. Now we kind of sway back and then bend over. We'll bend over into child's pose by taking our foreheads down into the floor. And I like to form kind of a tabernacle by putting my thumbs together, tips together, and my four fingers, first finger tips together, forming a triangle over my forehead. And here we don't pray, we just feel God the Father's wisdom filling our bodies, filling every cell in our body, teaching it how to repair itself and to grow and replace itself as it ages. And we feel God the Mother's love filling our bodies, her nurturing, and her ability to create new cells, new life, and recreate cells within our bodies. Om. Now we go back to sitting position. This time, our right leg will get extended out to the right side. Our left foot comes up to the inside of our left thigh, our right thigh. And here, the prayer, there's two prayers. And it's either I will or I am, anything you choose. I'll do one time and one the next. And so the first prayer begins with God, I am. Om. Now that left foot goes out to the left side, and we pull our right foot up to the inside of our left thigh. And here the prayer begins with God, I will. Om. Now we go back into sitting position and we take our hands palms up on our knees, touch our thumbs to our middle two fingers, keeping our back straight. And we're going to bow twice by keeping our back straight and bending at our pelvis. And we'll bow first to our bodies and then we'll bow to God or the divinity. So we keep our back straight, we bend forward, and the prayer begins with God, I bow to my body, my humanness, my mind. Om. Now we sit back up straight, and this time we'll keep our back straight and bow forward by bending in our pelvis. And as we do this, the prayer begins with God, I bow to you, to the divinity within. Om. Now we sit up straight again, and this time we're going to feel God's love and light and wisdom come up through our bodies and go out the tops of our heads. And this will form a place of love and warmth above our heads. And there we can stay in it as long as we want. That's called Kingdom of Heaven, Kingdom of Light. And there we will ask just one question. That's what is it that I need to know this day? So we go up, we start with this wonderful white light of the mother's love on the left side of our pelvis. This white light filling our legs and every cell in our legs and filling our abdomens, every cell in our abdomens, our bellies, our hearts being filled with the love of the mother and her nurturing, and then our lungs filled with her nurturing and creation. And then our throats, this wonderful white light comes up through our throats, up through our heads, and out the tops of our heads, and goes up into the heavens and showers down on the entire earth around us. And now we feel the blue light of the Father on the right side of our pelvis, where we're grounded. And it comes up and it fills our legs, this blue light of wisdom, of knowledge, of each cell knowing what to do. This Blue light fills our abdomens, it fills our hearts, it fills our lungs and comes up through our necks. And this blue light fills our heads and goes out the tops of our heads and shines up into the heavens and goes down in showers down on the whole earth. And now we step up into this light above our heads. And here we ask just one question: God, what is it that I need to know?